Greetings and welcome to the No Nonsense Trading Course. Probably should be in this short. Good morning. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Okay, all that fun stuff. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Everybody hear me all right? Nice, nice, nice. Today is the day. We got a lot of fun stuff going on here. All these markings, I think, were from yesterday, actually. Still kind of valid as we're seeing. But we have this beautiful sort of reversal pattern cooking here. That failure there is actually very, very dangerous for shorts, for everything we talked about yesterday. I really like what we left. At the very minimum, I would say this 235 high. At the minimum. But in reality, you've got this area of interest here from yesterday. We probably cook up to that 64 if this continues to fail. Now I might wait. Actually, I should get this magnet on. I'm going to wait a little bit to sort of let this shake out because there's no clear direction right now. I really like, if I had to lean, I'd be leaning bullish. Why? I don't like this, but we have this sort of order flow change here, right? Yes, it traded up into the SNDR, but this leg wasn't responsible for breaking any lows yet. So if this internal failure wants to continue bearish, then fine, we not only take this low, but we actually take this one, and then by extension, we'll probably take this one as well. But if we continue failing here, then I think we run up and you've got your, it's probably going to be this high actually, given that it's now weak and we've got to change the order flow in our higher time frame structure. Right, so we're looking for a pretty explosive move, and you're going to look at about a 100-point move either way, at minimum. I'm kind of validating it here. The long side, you could argue we've broken structure on the lower time frame, right? That's a violent 5-minute candle, but if it achieves nothing, that low was 73.5. This closed at 73.75. That's important. So kind of leaning bullish. If we get an internal sweep here, I might take a quick stab for and have a tight stop at about 10 points. If we get that sweep, right? Very possible that we don't. This was our attempt to resume this bearish trend. If we're going to chop around in here, then it's likely going to be pretty quick. Pretty quick if we sweep and fail, right? So still leaning bullish. Not involved just yet, but we'll see. Hey, wifey. So no sweep in here for me to get involved just yet. If this push-up fails, I'm less inclined to take this unless there's sort of a strong stab down and then a strong reaction. Hey, Vandit. Man of many names. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Clearly, and I think we talked about this yesterday as well, that didn't trigger me in. I liked the failure. I liked the strong push. This trading back down to our area of interest, I would have looked for either the sweep here or this flat bottom. So we'll see if this movement down generates anything or not. Can justify the movement up, right? And I think the 5 supports that on the failure to close underneath. The 15 is definitely looking very gross. You'll notice no real structure in this internal failure, at least so far, but it's got to generate something. It's got to generate something. Rock Outfitter, Jesse Jack. What's going on, buddy? Good morning. So it's also important because this entirety, right, from London pretty much onwards was about an 80-point range. I would consider this a range since about 8 o'clock last night, right? So Asia consolidation, London consolidation. We're expecting expansion for New York. We're expecting expansion for New York. This is aggressive, taking these sweeps underneath as we continue to move up. Concern right now for bears is that this is a weak high at 25. I think that's fair. See if we get a red to green in here. Not wild about buying this high, but direction being correct. That would have been probably a quick scalp in there. Right, I do expect this to trade down at least a little bit. Wow, come on. Maybe even liquidate some people in here. Unless it wants to just go, of course, but they didn't really sweep anybody out this entire move, other than you could argue this, but not really anything taken other than just catching and releasing, perhaps. Let's see what we get here. Let's see what we get. Be an interesting response when we create a valid internal high. You could argue we actually had a valid low that then snapped. So you had internal structure here. We then just traded back up into this area of interest. Why I wasn't really happy going along in here, trading up into that. Would have been a short-lived scalp, perhaps. Not really anything we can risk off of in terms of the wombo. If we had to pick a fractal, it would probably be this one here. Decision was made. Here comes that retracement back in we were looking for. Now, this could be technically buying off of weak structure inside of this range. Not really wild about it either way. Not really wild about it either way. I think we should trade higher personally, but given the velocity of this, it at least deserves a little bit of pause. $9.44, you got a new 15-minute candle opening soon. It'd be interesting if we take this low and fail. Obviously not involved just yet. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yikes. So they got the closure. Nasty closure. Nasty, nasty, nasty. This is sort of that stay out of trouble mechanism we talk about. We're expecting a violent move one way or the other. This very well could have led to it. We had the failure here, which is why we had this 40-point rally. And yet, for the same reason that we weren't looking shorting against, at least in here, for the continuation. Because this achieved nothing, this bearish move. This bullish move also achieved nothing. So, trading against the current objective, which is clearly trading higher. How do we know that? Because we should have failed here, and instead we consolidated and pushed higher. So if you shorted here, you probably lost money unless you had a wide stop. You would have made money in here, in fairness, but there was also that area we were risking off of too. And then it's staying out of trouble in terms of trading against weak structure. Now, if it fails here, right, and you get some form of internal sweep of this and a strong push away, then we're trading back down to the area that stopped that. And now we can react in here, but the premise initially is leave this alone, especially when it starts really just spooling like that. Right, now this could very well trade back into the zone above 73.75 here. I'm going to sit on my hands and wait and see what we get. Right. And the entire thing as well, internal failure, we need to see something pretty conclusive. Pretty conclusive. So I think next up on the menu, we're probably going to take this low pretty quick at 49. I think we just did. Nope, not quite yet. We will. And then likely running this one down as well. Now this still is a change in order flow, but the internal failure gives us a little bit more urgency on the short side. So we'll not be risking off of this, even if it wants to have a little bit of failure here to trade back in. Not really interested. We'll be taking it easy today regardless. There goes that low from yesterday as well, generating a little bit of a reaction. Right? So I wasn't really happy with my execution yesterday. And beyond that, we did a lot of rehearsal last night for the big event that's going on this afternoon. I hope you are all attending, getting in touch with your states. This will likely trade back up to 73 unless this fails here immediately. Taking the low of yesterday. We'll see what kind of reaction. Again, we are expecting expansion, so we could be manipulating underneath. It's very possible. We'll react accordingly if so. Not really the reaction you'd want to see here. We'll see if we get a 950 move. That'll be very, very aggressive. I think we take this low, obviously, which we just did. Get 25 seconds. This is kind of all gas, no brakes on the bearish side. Whoop. Starting to slow down a little bit. This will be interesting. See what happens on the new 5 if we sweep and fail. That could lead us back up to here, maybe. You have your wombo from where it really started aggressively selling, which would probably be from here. Right, so you would draw probably something similar to this. Hit that there. All right, this is going to be either very, very quickly gone, or we get our sweep and we're going to have our 950 that trades back in. This being the 5-minute bar, which is why I'm involved in here. But this should be finished business and done at all if we're going to sweep and continue upwards. And as soon as we get up here, if we get up here at all, then I'm going to go break even. Because this should be finished business and done. Otherwise, it's just going to run my stop, and that's fine. No, this looks like higher time frame. There it goes. Okay. Okay. Now what? Just a little bit further or what? Right? So take your stop. Climactic action. This is a little bit different. We'll see what ends up happening here. Not inclined to get too far in front of it. I took my idea. We've now taken both of those that we were talking about. Now taking both of them. We'll see what this ends up bringing here. Likely a bit of relief now. Finally a climactic candle. Was expecting something a little bit more in here. Instead we got climax. People will likely be taking some profits in here. Obviously there's a possibility that this just continues and we're going to run another 100 points or so from this measured move. If we look at the manipulation leg, which was pretty clear. Right, then we're right inside that area here, which I think would be a nice reactionable one. But again, can't just. I took my shot, took a small stop, and now I'll wait. Very violent movement, very violent reaction as well. Double climactic bars, which is showing major urgency. You see orders really speeding up here as well. So not wild about just shorting anywhere. Get rid of this. Notes from yesterday. Right? But we were expecting volatility and expansion. I thought we were going to get a little bit of a movement back up, obviously not to be desired. Not for me. My goodness. Wild. Sit and wait for a little bit more structure. Obviously that did not pan out. What do we got now? Definitely a valid high on our 15-minute time frame, right? Even if you use this one, which you should. This is actually technically one swing. Technically. Might even be higher than our 15. Now, I don't think using the hourly for an intraday movement, you might have a pretty key area of interest, and that's fairness, but this now being the candle that broke structure, if we get a trade back up here, that would likely be a pretty decent short. Whoop. Inside sweep after climax. See where this goes. Violent to be sure. Higher time frame and control. Imbalance respected, at least so far.
Target filled.
Yeah, trade of 8 is for sure. Trade of 8 is for sure. I just hate their charts. Second sweep inside, we probably take this 40 low, which would be my guess. If we get another stab up, I might consider another short. We'll see. But I need a little bit more. I can't just hit it here. I probably should have hit it on that. And blast. What do we have to the left here? Anything? Right. I think it bears in mind as well that we talked about this change in order flow on the 4 hour. I wasn't really wild about this stab back up, but it didn't achieve anything. It actually just swept this high. Couldn't make a valid low internally either. That was very important. So we were leaning heavily on this being second distribution, with the possibility of actually trading back down all the way into this SMDR here that broke us out in the first place, right? Which would kind of be this here on your intermediate or higher time frame, I should say. If we want to get down there, I think that's definitely in the cards today. We'll find out pretty quick what the higher time frame will want to do. Get 2 minutes, 2 minutes till 10 o'clock, which will be your new 15-minute candle. People are selling anywhere right now. They're definitely selling the close of bull bars. They're selling above everything. They're selling the close of bearish follow through. Right? There'll likely be another sell here unless it closes inside that 40, which is unlikely. But you see how they're hitting it. Even if they take 10 points on that. Many ways of trading. Not really my style. But you can understand it. You can understand it. "30 seconds. Morning, Tim. Look at this dump city. Long way from 930. We've got a little SNDR as well as sort of fractal. See a little bit clear on the 4-hour. I like this major area. I think we at least trade into the bulk of this fractal here, that high being 951. Would be shocked if we didn't. All right, we're getting a little bit of a sweep into it, but clearly higher time frame movement here. And now it becomes a game of patience. Becomes a game of patience. If you've missed this move entirely, which is likely, that's a stretch entry for sure. There hasn't really been much unless you're sort of trading breakout momentum off of here. That you're likely locked out of this move. Which plays on our emotions, doesn't it? We want to short here and make money. We want to short here and make money. Sometimes that works. Often we get squeezed. But the key ends up being that we want to do it consistently. We don't want to just make money today. We want to make money consistently. Seeing a little bit of a reversal coming in here. We'll see if it can generate anything at all. Not really what I like to see. I like to see a 15-minute failure, which yields something. 5 or 15, so in other words, a sweep and then continuation. At least a break in order flow in the lower time frame facilitating that. So I'm just watching this trade all the way back, all the way down to our area of interest without the ability of getting involved. I liked a lot of buying that came in here. I think that that'll be an important fractal later on in the day. Maybe even right now if this was a sweep and failure and it wants to run now. They could very well just be returning to it to sell off. Who knows? Price is definitely speeding up here, and the concern would be this imbalance. So what's possible is they accumulate here, we then run everybody out, and then we go. Or we actually get our complete smiley face in here. Looking a little haggard unless this candle recovers. I'm actually going to try that in here now. If it comes back before it hits the imbalance. Again, not giving it a ton of room to move down if it wants to continue flushing. There goes the imbalance tap. We'll see if we get a little bit more of a lift. I think I'm break even now regardless of what goes on. Right, and I'd be looking for a stab maybe back up into here. At least to take this candle, which is now weak at 13. I'm going to take that off there. Take that off there. Potential of major reserve. Wow. I can't speak this morning, can I, lads? Potential of a major reversal. Right? And I could be out far too soon. But again, climactic action. Fair target would have been this high here. Fair target at 16s. And the reason because we got our sort of reversal pattern on a micro level, but we also noticed in here there was a bit of a shift in the pattern of buying. I don't know if you guys can understand that on your dome or whatnot. It's a very abstract concept to explain. We've now created a valid low internally. Be interesting if we trade back up to our higher time frame area of interest, which I think is 118s here. Yeah, it'd be about 118s. And looking like a fool for selling in the 13s here. As these wild days tend to do. Yeah, I like that this happened after 10 a.m., right? So I got your hourly sweep now. That's beautiful, right? But now looking like a 15-minute sweep. There's your 5-minute. Right? Everything looking beautiful now. Hindsight 2020, but it starts with a little bit of weakness showing up, okay? But that in itself isn't anything for the same reason that I took a loss. Where was it, up here? Get rid of that. All right, so now we've made a valid low on our 1. Guess where our next stop is? Now, this is gross that it hasn't really given us any ability to come back down. I think if we had a wombo, it would be drawn from here. But how aggressive is looking for confirmations here? Extremely aggressive. Extremely aggressive. Right? I think this is going to be an inducement leg and we actually trade into this area of interest. Right? Can't really bet against this, but we're seeing that actually closed above. Okay. We'll see what happens with this 74 half high if we get there. And I think the attempt to reverse this trend will be telling if we can create a valid high versus if we just sweep and fail. And that's just speculating price. But I think we need that valid attempt. And as it stands right now, that would be underneath 30. More curious is if we create a valid high and it does nothing. That closed at 30.25. Strong push down. We can now sweep that potentially back into this prior area of interest where we validated and still fail. It'll be interesting. And again, that idea is trading back up to see if we can validate a 5-minute low now. We've now traded into this area of interest, which we talked about earlier. Again, very, very aggressive looking at this. We would expect a new low, but if it gets held up here, then we might fly. Definitely traded back into the prior zone now.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Violent.
Order canceled.
Oof. Very violent.
Order submitted.
That's a nasty rejection, at least so far. I'm going to take my stab with my stop underneath this 92. Actually, you know what? It's only going to be 10 points. Because I don't think if we trade back into it, assuming this respects it and closes somewhat inside here, this is still very aggressive.
Order submitted.
Right? I'll be out above this 17 if it can't. Not wild about how it's chopping around, but we'll see. We'll see if we get a lift. Again, very, very aggressive. But that's if we're going to challenge this 5-minute high. And we're going to find out very, very quick. Looks like not. That's vicious selling. But we'll see. They are really pushing this. So far generating nothing, but we'll see. Don't like that closed bearish. Still giving this 10 points. But order flow very, very, very heavy.
Good morning, brother.
Hey, Mikey, what's going on, man?
Oh, bro. When my alarm went off, I closed my eyes and I fell back asleep again, I guess.
I'm definitely not taking 10 points on this if it wants to go.
Are you in this?
Yeah.
I had this OTE pulled down here too.
Order canceled.
I'm not taking 10 on this, but I will be shortening my stop 95. What I got? 34.25 if it wants to run. That high of 17, we actually, damn it, we did try and take that high. That was a sign of strength from the bears. Probably should have just taken that off or something. We'll see. I like the buying coming in here. I don't like how it's not generating anything and how we're just slamming down. Kind of want that 5-minute high. But order flow seems to have other designs here. We'll see. That's a nasty close. We'll see what happens here now. I think I'm going to do or die here and be break even.
Order submitted.
Yeah, took me out break even. Okay, that's fine. Not really what I wanted to see, so out we go. And it very well could run. This is a nice respect of this pocket. I'm just not liking how heavy everything is. And I think there'll be better trades than this if it wants to die off. Just nasty. Nice work, Luke. Beautiful. What I didn't like about this was that we attempted to make a high here that actually traded above that, and then we came back in. right? I would have wanted to see that at least close here and then trade back down. This became a little bit lower probability for me. Looks like I was trading right to the pocket, so quick 30 points that I just missed there. A little frustrating. We'll see. We'll see what goes on. This should now lift to that 74. I'd be shocked if it didn't have at least a little bit of a push down because of how many people were involved in here. The alternative is that they're now all extremely trapped and we're just going to get a blast, which is very possible.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
And I think if we do get a nuke, it's going to be a nuke. Order's really speeding up here as well. She's going to push. She's got to do it really quick.
Order submitted.
Whoop. Go on, you good thing. At least take the highs. Run them out if you're going to go lower. And I think that's fair personality given that we had an internal failure that started this whole thing off.
Order submitted.
Anybody grab anything in here and trade that a little bit differently? The nice respect to the Wombo, a little hairy holding through this where I exited. Actually, this kind of took me out as it was pushing through. It came back, mitigated me, and then left. Gross. And now we're going to see if we can validate this 5-minute high. You got quite a few minutes to do this as well. So it could do a whole bunch of things in the next 3 to 4 minutes. Whole bunch of things. Yeah, fair. Fair. Couple of internal sweeps, nothing ideal. This actually gave a nice short failure here. The expectation of this high would have been at least taking both of these. Right? So we actually swept this candle and that one on this push down. Right? So sort of a little bit of a wedge. Got 3 of them tight stop, beautiful. Then got a 3 stop outs and then a winner in green. Yeah, it's interesting, hey? Like, if we were all trading based off of an algorithm, like maybe we had, like we want, ideally for a trading system, the best trading systems are a bit discretionary rather than just a blanket, I'm going to take this every single time, doesn't matter about any context whatsoever, right? For example, a 5-minute sweep that then trades the 5-minute high, right? Let's just use that as a hypothetical, which it goes now, right? And I'm sitting like a fool that was involved in here, didn't grab that. Now, if we look at that and we go, okay, so when does it work? When doesn't it work? Essentially what we're determining is we want to see some form of a reaction at that level. Otherwise, say we had, I don't know, say you had your pocket, obviously not like that. So you had your pocket drawn like this. Okay, that obviously worked out. But say for whatever reason we had our pocket drawn here and it just knifes through and you take a loss there, right? Ideally, that's because either we've drawn it wrong or we didn't get any form of a reaction here. So we can't just, even in an ideal world, obviously, you would just short based off of that. Maybe you have a 20-point stop. In this case, if you drew it wrong, it would have been taken out. And you have your 23.6. So in this case, these trades where your risk reward is like 2 or less, you have to win at least half the time, right? Now, I mean, say you drew that correctly here and you did the exact same thing. And you didn't necessarily care how it delivered to the 23.6. You didn't care at all because you're looking at the expectancy of your system. In this case, you would be looking at a 2 to 1. And if I'm right half the time, then this can stop me out. But I know that over 50 trades, I'm actually going to be quite profitable at this. And the same sort of thing applies from the other end as well. If we're long here, we essentially want to see a reaction. So maybe we don't even get in on this candle. Maybe we're in somewhere in here after this internal sweep and fail. Stop should go below here, maybe, or 20 points, depending on what you're doing. And away you go. Now, I think we trade back up into these 118s, right? We've just validated that 5-minute high. So it'll be interesting to see if we get our third push down, which then continues to lift. Your 15 is still looking beautiful, at least for right now. That could change in a heartbeat given this volatility, which is beautiful volatility. Beautiful volatility.
Oh, I can't believe I'm on the sidelines for this.
At least you didn't get taken out, bro.
Oh.
I held through all of this because it didn't invalidate anything. And then this push up actually took me out when I went break even. Why did I go break even? I actually thought that that this failure and then this movement up was just to mitigate and to head lower.
Mm.
Gross. Gross.
I had this like OTE pulled from a while ago, down below here, between like 185 and 143. We like literally smacked right in the middle of it. The 236 of this move would be 181.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is like the 4-hour OTE of this big push.
I was kind of looking at the SNDR that was just underneath. I'm actually still expecting a little bit lower unless this just blasts through our higher time frame pocket here. That you see this 4-hour SNDR. Like we got that one here, and then we've got this sort of bigger zone that we didn't trade into.
Yeah, like I had my OTE pulled from like that.
Probably that low there.
Yeah, that low there.
Yeah. You excited for tonight, man?
Oh yeah, bro. Super excited.
I haven't really got to chat with the wifey yet today, but my guess is she didn't sleep.
What time is that happening?
4:30 Eastern, right after close.
Nice.
Careful on longs here, lads. This is a bit of an accumulation manipulation as well. I don't like how it didn't trade into this zone, so I'm not just hitting it, but this very well could. At minimum, trade back into here. You got your SMDR here. Let's get rid of that now. Get rid of this. Yeah.
And then we got the big hockey game.
The big one.
Ah.
The NHL accidentally created the most hyped hockey game since like the 2014 finals. By accident. By accident. So this candle actually validated your 5-minute high. So do I really think that I'm drawing anything based off of that? No, I expect, if anything, it's going to come back down to here. And then you kind of have something like this, maybe, if it respects it. But I'm kind of hands off of short. I'm going to watch the right side of the chart here.
And yeah, if you pull an OTE from the bottom of the push, that lines right up with that area you got marked out.
This one, yeah, I was looking at that too. And the flat bottom as well. So we're kind of stacking confluences, and this might not like deliver up to here. I think it will if we get a strong movement. This is nasty. I think there's a lot of volume in here, so it very well could sweep and respect this area. There's a ton of interest in here. I would consider that kind of balanced personally, but we'll see. Looks like that wombo would have worked quite nicely, at least back into this range. But when you have sort of a lower time frame break of structure, we talked about this yesterday when we were leveling up our wombos. Did that just validate? No, it didn't. Close right at the highs.
Yeah.
Almost as if the market's mathematical. Almost as if. Actually, see, this is very risky. That just immediately charged up. You schmuck. Get down there. 61.5. My goodness. This is going to sweep this out and then continue if it's going to. I don't want to be out of this too soon. I'm actually going to move that up to this candle here, 93.75. And if I'm wrong on this drop, if this doesn't drop here, then I'll probably exit this, right? But giving this a little bit more space, we haven't traded into our zone. Not wild about this, which I think is going to trade above this high at 87, and then expecting that sweep failure. So giving this a little bit more risk. That was actually the push I was concerned about. What's up?
I pulled an OTE from that flat bottom candle after the bearish one on the one, and then it lines up right with that 5-minute fair value gap now that we got going. Right under the lows. But it could just go from here.
I'm going to find out very, very quick. If this push fails, then I might add to this position for this trade back down into here. Again, I really like this. This could be your third wedge failure, which would be really annoying. Obviously, I'm short inside of here. I need this to be strong, and if this can trade underneath the 76, then obviously quite happy. If this goes sideways to up, then I might consider canceling this. Again, this is against the trend, yes, but trading with narrative to trade back down for it to go long. Not wild about the reaction here. That did actually just validate that high, I think. Or, sorry, that low. So this should take me out. Still like the manipulation, the break and order flow, just a little bit more heat than I would have liked. That's why I moved my stop. Wouldn't recommend doing that. I think I don't want it to trade above this area here now, 92.5.
You want this to go here.
Oh, she's having all kinds of troubles. All kinds of troubles.
Hopefully it gives us like one of those quick stab down.
That's kind of what I was expecting, yeah. I'm happy with the narrative. I'm happy with the trade. I don't really like this movement, so I probably should have exited there, break even. 4 seconds on this bearish candle. This will be an important follow through. If there's follow through. I like how that's speeding up now. Really like how that's speeding up now. And this should puke if I'm right, or I take a small stop if I'm wrong. That's fine. Again, valid low, so not ideal, but holding to the narrative that we should trade lower before we go higher. Just giving me a lot of grief. And here I go. And flat, maybe? Man.
Playing with your food.
Am I gonna get squeezed here before the drop? Yep. All signs point to yes. There we go.
I'm gonna top my coffee up real quick.
Gross. Low probability, not trading back into the prior zone. But, yeah, that's what it is. More upset that I actually took this off or got stop break even after it chopped around for a while. I do think we trade back into here. Be shocked if this validated up here, but we'll see. This is a quick. Right, and the idea again is that we should not validate this if we're going to trade back down. So narrative wise. And this should go here. And definitely close underneath this 83 low. If we chop around in here, I likely will just mitigate this immediately. I want to see this being finished business, manipulation done. Yes, shorting against bearish structure, but I'm looking for a long in this area of interest. Until that proves me wrong, then I'm very interested in holding this. We'll see. Like that that's a bear bar. Have no problem with it trading up slightly. This goes red to green, or sorry, green to red, then I'm likely going to add at 94. And then my stop will be above this candle that just failed, if. And the entire idea is that we should not close above this if we're going to trade back into here. Okay, eye on the trigger just in case. Right, didn't want that closing above. That would have validated my idea. Man. Chop City. Can't justify adding to this yet. Haven't got really much in the way of follow through. Sideways candles. We're doing just enough to still justify the idea. But if this is going to be right, then I want to be adding to this position. I can't really justify that just yet. Nasty sweep out of here. Right, took my clap there, fine.
Okay, nice. The 5 minute has closed above now. Validating.
Okay, this seems to be supporting the idea now. 97 and 90, that's what, 3.5. So I'm gonna move it to about here. Oops. Did we close underneath that? 83.25, 83, yuck. Heartbreak when you can't add to your position, huh? I'm break even now for sure. If this sweeps and fails, then I'm going to consider getting out here. I like the idea of taking this low. Don't want to see internal failure. And given that I just took a clap, I actually need to be a little bit more defensive. So we'll see what this candle brings in 20 seconds. That internal sweep, still looking for this low at 61.5. We've generated enough, right? I'm probably gonna look very silly getting out of this way too soon. Annoying that it didn't happen in here when I was able to add to the position. I was a little concerned about this movement in here. So hopefully you guys at least grab something in that off of the failure. Right, attempt to resume the bullish trend, fails, right? Didn't get a sweep, would have liked the internal sweep and red to green. Or sorry, green to red in this case. You could easily argue of holding for this, but I'm taking the low-hanging fruit from the clap that happened earlier. Let's go. Nasty reaction.
It just tapped that 5 minute fair value gap.
Did it?
Yeah. What was inside?
61.5. Multiple objectives. That's a nice little sweep. You've got actually a break of structure as well. Oh, no, you don't. This closed exactly at that low. They've done it a few times today.
And that other bullish candle didn't close above either, right?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. This is more order flow. That's true.
This is technically not a swing.
Where are the flags? Where are the flags? Have you taken anything yet?
No, bro.
I can understand people going long from the 5 minute imbalance. I can understand that. Not really what I wanted. I wanted this zone. And you got a couple of areas of interest in there. And I think that's fair. Second sweep, maybe 40 seconds. We validated the 5, we validated the 1, obviously, a couple of times now. Our 15's way up here. We seem to have a hard time going down. We did break order flow, so the idea would be at least caution for this. You've now got internal failure again. Something like that. And I'm actually a little bit concerned about this long now. But we still have objectives that haven't been hit, right? And for the same reason, we talk about synchronicity. This happened on the 15-minute time frame, right? And now we're seeing something a little bit similar happen on the 1. These days tend to have personality. Should I still be in this? You be the judge. I think the longer this struggles, the more we like the sweep into here. We're not really seeing that death. Just gonna sit and wait and see where we shake out here, though. I like the 5-minute imbalance. I like how we're seeing a lot of defense that's going on in here. We just haven't really hit the narrative, so kind of waiting to see what it does. In no rush. Let's see where this goes. We sweep here? I don't think we did. Nope, not quite.
No.
Waiting, waiting, waiting. Game of waiting. I don't like that we failed to validate this candle here, right? So I would still be leaning towards dumping underneath 56 and then into our zone here. We'll see if that happens at 1050 or not. All signs point to yes. The last time I tried that, clearly the day said nope. So sitting on my hands. You could argue short. I would probably be break even right now if you're short in the high 70s. You want this this follow through. That was a little nasty. That might have taken you out. Second 5-minute sweep for Tommy. We trade into this area at, what is that, 50-50? 53.50? We still missed it. You know what? I'm going to pass on it if it goes from here and doesn't trade into it. There we go, finally. Violent, violent, violent. If only somebody was short at the highs. That would have been nice. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Don't want to be quick on this. I think that would have been fair, and the stab into it. But man, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. All right, I'm gonna leave it at this one because I wanted that SNDR, which we technically, I think. Well, did we tap into it? No, it was just drawn wrong. 48, 47.75. We actually did, eh? See if we get a red to green candle here. That would be beautiful. That low being 53.5. There's our push. Oof. $32.5. Like that. Like that. Violent movement. So this needs to lift quick. Inside of our S&R. I was actually looking for this flat bottom to be taken, which is still valid to see what goes on. I'm actually going to have this be down here underneath the wombo. Very risky trade. There goes that flat bottom now. We've now swept out everything in here if we're going to run. Didn't really anticipate this being second distribution. Really? You schmuck. You're not going to let me add to this? On the way up? That imbalance now is concerning. Oh dear. poor ad. Let's see what goes on. Right, still expecting this zone to provide some relief. Just not really wild about the way we're delivering into here, and definitely not with my ad there either. We need to get a lift now, or otherwise it's going to put in a new low, and I think that low is going to be a little bit more than I'd like to hold through. Internal sweep, if it's going to go, she's going to go now. We'll be looking for a trade back up into here as well. At least the high of the zone. Not liking the order flow. Looks like I'm going to get clapped here. Okay, there it goes. Now we'll see if this actually just ends up being a sweep inside the midpoint of our zone. Poor execution from me there. No real reason so far to get back in on this, so we'll see what happens. But that was just a bad ad, I think. See what goes on here. $10.50, 4 seconds. Ideally, we leave this and then we get a trade back up to the pocket. I think that's going to mitigate people in here. There was a lot of interest that went on. That's a nasty stab. This will go just underneath the low. If we're going to bounce from this fractal at origin, I think that trades back up to 31. Very aggressive, obviously, but I like the order flow that took place in here. Let's see if we can follow through. Otherwise, a very small stop. And again, the idea is probably taking this high here at 28 back into this area to trade back lower, at least in the short term. But she's got a lift now. Still inside of our bullish area of interest, despite what this order flow would have you believe. Not really wild about this lift, at least so far. Obviously. Worst case scenario, we build an SNDR, which then takes this low, and I think we range for a few candles. We'll be finding out in about 8 seconds here if that's the case. Got to get at least trade above this 14.5. Really struggling, which supports the SNDR theory, right? Looking for 18s at minimum. This should squeeze at least above 14 if it is going to run down. There it goes. There it goes. There's our 18s. Do we get 26 or do we just die? Finger on the trigger just in case we get a strong reaction from here. A little bit of a gift. I'm going to take that off there. My goodness. My goodness. Not the best read on order flow for me so far today. Might have a little bit of damage control to deal with. In retrospect, these days I tend to, especially while I'm working on other stuff for you guys, usually they tend to be a little bit lackluster, but was really happy with that short. I think that long was annoying that it took me out. I think that would have been the major difference maker today. My entry and add on this was very poor. I think I entered in here at like 37 and then I added and just didn't take anything off. Right, now we validated a low inside of a zone. We are technically still bullish internally. As this wasn't protected, that's important. Right? This order flow definitely being bearish. I think we trade back up into here if we continue to fail on this push. Be really beautiful if you got, if this 15-minute candle gets saved underneath this flat bottom, that would be something sort of similar to yesterday. Right, that low being 32.5. It's going to make me look very, very silly getting out on this too soon, but again, this expectation of this would have been underneath here. And then if that wants to break the protected low, that's how it would do it. Higher time frame movement, consolidation, snap. So we'll see. As it stands right now, this idea was just to mitigate the prior zone, and then we can deal with what goes on afterwards. But I think patience was good. Other than the entry on here, I think patience was solid. I think that setup was valid until this validated that that low there, and I didn't exit as quick as I should have, but some stuff for me to review today. Apex green, ETF accounts likely slightly red, maybe after that, who knows. A little bit of damage control to make up, but today is not that day. Today is not that day. Internal.
Did you catch any of the shorts that morning?
No, I like the idea. I actually took a small long loss here after we took both of the lows. The internal 15-minute failure was kind of looking at this. Didn't really like what I sort of saw in there. No real opportunity of it getting him back in. And then this just kind of died. Just kind of died. Probably a decent sell stop entry in there. What do you think?
I haven't even really got to look at the how that price unfolded yet this morning. My alarm went off. I was going to close my eyes for 2 seconds again, and then I woke up in a panic, like, oh shit.
Looks like we're going to S&DR this. But you see these inverse wombos, or at least we're looking at the interest that happened, even though this trade didn't work out. You've got the ability of taking potentially a short out of it or a long into it. Now, bullish structure, failing to break the protected low, I don't really think that's a short I'd be that interested in taking.
Oh, this 50-minute candle is nasty, brother.
Yeah, I was hoping it kind of got saved. I think it traded up in, or at least tried to trade up, back up in here, and it just got smacked.
Yeah.
Right. What did we say, 32, and then went to 30 half? Yeah. It's probably that candle there, 32.50. Yeah.
We took out 3 previous daily lows here. The next one is down at 759.
Yeah, I think we run this as well. We might get a trade back up into this SNDR now that we are looking to break this protected low. This one here, 92 half. Here she goes, 37 seconds. Snap. Any trade back in? If this retraces back up, I'd take that. If.
And then this SNDR that we're in, the low is at 891. 2 potential downside targets here.
Yeah.
891, 759.
In hindsight, I probably should have looked at that internal failure that happened with this objective lower.
Yeah, for me, like it was that 5-minute fair value gap, like that push, like that first sweep was good, but then the failure kind of put me on guard pretty hard.
See if this trades back up above this candle into our SNDR. Right. This could be nasty if it wants to just run, but this will be a tight stop with the idea that we trade back into here and we just collapse. Shocked if we validate a low in here. My expectation would just be we've broken structure now. We trade back into the SNDR that was responsible and we go. Wow, that just immediately took me out. Okay. Wild. What we got now? My goodness. Try it again. This will be my last trade for the day if this doesn't work. Very aggressive, yes, after this aggressiveness, fair enough. But holding to this SNDR theory that just broke structure on the 1-minute time frame. But it needs to sell off here almost immediately or else this is going to get clapped very, very quick. Back into our Wombo area. Don't like that closed bullish. We'll see if it has to sweep out. This is a bit of a wider stop, this one. Fair enough. But I like the idea of it trading into the SNDR. We've now liquidated the manipulation leg. If we're going to fly down, we should fly down from here. And again, I like the idea of taking the low end here. And this just getting more shorts interested. So I'm not going to take this off as wider stop means wider target, right? This was a swing position. And we'll see what we end up getting here. Right? Don't like the fair value gap. I need that broken pretty quick. Right? Which would mean I don't want this 975 low swept and failure. I want continuation from this. Definitely not accelerated buying unless it's going to get caught at 1975 or so. This should be gone. Like gone, gone, gone. Dunzell, Washington. Let's go. Wild push though, to be sure. Definitely thought we were going to have a little bit more failure in the 5s. Here's that imbalance we were talking about. That's a good shove from it. We'll see where this ends up. Really good response. Really good response. We'll see if that carries through. That just sweep? It did. Beautiful. Ideally, this closes bearish. Instead, I get this. Okay. Do not squeeze me out and then have a dump. Wow. Okay. If she's gonna go, she's gonna go now. I don't want to be holding through much more of this. All right, the ideal internal failure now, but she's gotta drop off. We actually closed above protected high now. I'm just gonna take this off. Just gonna take that off. The idea, I think the idea was valid. I think my entry was poor, or at least it made me look certainly poor. Breaking structure, then immediately breaking structure the other way. Nasty business. Nasty business. Okay. I'm gonna walk with this. Probably a decent red day on ETF. That was brutal. Yeah, we'll be live in the room, Mikey. I don't know what your plan is.
I'm gonna do a
little bit of review on this day. I think my execution was pretty poor, or at least the ideas I think were sound. They just didn't work out. Break a structure, SNDR, just blasted through it. Yuck. But yeah, we'll review that later on. We'll go over it. Okay. Yeah. We'll see you guys in the room in a little bit if you're around, and make sure you're coming tonight to the event for sure. We'll see where this shakes out.
Talk to you soon, bro.
Bye.